Welcome to my channel SafetyNet. Safety is not just following rules, it is protecting lives, preventing accidents, and creating a safe future for every worker.
Welcome back. So, if you're gearing up for a career as a safety officer, you already know that acing that interview, it takes way more than just common sense. You've got to really master specific frameworks and industry terminology. Today, in this explainer, we're going to take a raw list of technical questions and answers and literally transform them into an elite, highly structured interview study guide. By the end of this, you'll have the exact mental frameworks you need to walk into that room and totally prove your expertise.
But before we get into the technical nuts and bolts, let's anchor your mindset for a second. Safety is not just following rules, it is protecting lives, preventing accidents, and creating a safe future for every worker. Think about that. When you sit across from an interviewer, they're not looking for some compliance robot. No, they're looking for a guardian. Elevating your role from mundane paperwork to a noble, life-saving mission, that's exactly how you stand out from the very first question.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our agenda. We're going to systematically build your confidence by covering the safety officer's mission, defining hazards and risks, your daily safety toolkit, managing incidents and emergencies, and finally, acing your safety interview. Let's get to it.
First up, Section 1, the safety officer's mission, protecting lives and productivity. Let's take a look at your daily baseline. So, if an interviewer asks about your core responsibilities, remember you're basically balancing two worlds here. On the proactive side, you're identifying hazards, ensuring compliance, conducting training and toolbox talks, and monitoring PPE usage. But on the reactive side, you're investigating accidents and near misses and implementing emergency procedures. Running through these duties shows them that your daily routine literally prevents fatalities, cuts down on financial loss, and keeps the company legally compliant.
Moving right along to Section 2, defining hazards and risks, and the fundamental distinction between the two. Now, interviewers will almost always ask you to explain the difference between a hazard and a risk. Whatever you do, don't mix these up. This brilliantly illustrates the difference. A hazard is the actual thing that can cause harm, like electricity. The risk is the actual chance or probability that harm will occur, like the likelihood of someone getting an electric shock. Just keep that simple, crisp example right in your back pocket.
Okay, so once you know what a risk is, you have to assess it using a strict 5-step framework. First, you identify the hazards. Second, you pinpoint exactly who might be harmed. Third, you evaluate that risk. Fourth, you apply your control measures. And fifth, review and monitor. Being able to just rattle off this sequence makes you sound like an absolute pro who relies on solid systems, not just guesswork.
All right, Section 3, the Daily Safety Toolkit. Let's look at the proactive prevention systems you're going to use to stop accidents before they happen.
Your very first tool? The toolbox talk. If you're asked about this, you need to explain that it's a short safety meeting conducted right before work starts. It is absolutely your essential on-the-ground communication tool. This is where you inform workers about the specific job hazards of the day, the safety precautions they need to take, and safe working procedures. It's all about setting the entire crew's safety mindset before a single tool is even lifted.
Next up is the Permit to Work, or PTW for short. Think of this as the strict, formal gatekeeper. It's a written system used to control hazardous activities. You use a PTW to guarantee that proper safety precautions are completely locked in before the absolute most dangerous site activities are allowed to begin.
And when you mention PTWs, you've got to prove your field knowledge with some concrete examples. Be ready to list off permits for everything from hot work and cold work to confined space entry, electrical work, excavation, and working at height. Dropping these specific examples shows you genuinely understand the vast array of high-stakes environments out there.
Another massively vital tool is lockout/tagout, which you'll usually just hear called LOTO. This is a critical, absolutely non-negotiable physical safeguard. You have to know that LOTO is used specifically to ensure machines are properly shut off and literally cannot restart while maintenance teams are working on them. It is quite literally a lifesaver.
Let's move on and see how all of this builds up to our final proactive tool, the safety audit. So while toolbox talks and PTWs are your daily safeguards, the audit is your overarching system. It's a systematic inspection to evaluate if all those daily tools are actually working out there on the floor, and to ensure you're fully complying with safety standards and regulations.
Now for Section 4, managing incidents and emergencies.
Because let's face it, no matter how good your proactive tools are, sometimes things go wrong and you need to know exactly how to react.
Before a major accident happens, you usually get a warning, and that is called a near miss. A near miss is an unplanned event that didn't cause injury or damage, but it absolutely had the potential to do so. You really want to highlight to your interviewer that aggressively reporting near misses is basically the ultimate early warning system to catch a disaster before it actually strikes. Now, if an actual accident does occur, the crucial point is sticking strictly to this exact sequence. Step 1. Immediately provide first aid and secure the area. Step 2. Report the accident. Step 3. Investigate and identify those root causes. Step 4. Implement corrective actions. And finally, Step 5. Prepare your formal accident report. Following this step-by-step proves you can handle a real-world crisis legally and professionally.
A massive part of emergency management is dealing with fires, and you really need to memorize the classifications. Class A is for solid materials, Class B covers flammable liquids, and Class C is for gas fires. Moving on to more specific hazards, Class D covers metal fires, Class E is for electrical fires, and Class K or F handles cooking oil fires. Knowing this clean categorization is just an essential piece of technical trivia for passing any safety exam. So, how do you mitigate those devastating fire risks we just categorized? Well, you tell the interviewer that you control them through everyday operational checks. Things like maintaining excellent housekeeping, storing flammable materials properly, conducting regular fire inspections, installing extinguishers, training your workers, and strictly following those hot work permit procedures we talked about earlier. And that brings us to our final peak, Section 5, Acing Your Safety Interview, the Human Element.
All right, I want you to imagine this scenario. What would you do if workers consistently refuse to wear their personal protective equipment, like their helmets or respirators? Take a second. How would you actually answer this? It's a classic, kind of tricky behavioral scenario that interviewers love to use to test your conflict resolution and your authority.
Well, here is the ideal diplomatic three-step answer straight from our source material. Step 1, you educate the workers about the risks and the vital importance of the PPE. You don't just yell, you inform them. Step 2, you firmly remind them about the company's safety rules. And Step 3, if they still refuse, you report the issue according to company policy. This structured response proves to an interviewer that you can perfectly balance empathetic education with strict, necessary policy enforcement.
As we wrap up here, keep these final rapid-fire tips in your back pocket. Speak confidently. Give practical examples from your own experience. Always show a positive attitude. Explain your safety procedures clearly without hiding behind a bunch of jargon. And above all, demonstrate real leadership and communication skills. Remember, interviewers aren't just looking for someone who can recite facts. They want someone who can genuinely lead a safety culture.
Now, all of this information only really matters if you actually put it into action. So, I leave you with this. Are you ready to step up, protect lives, and become the unsung hero of your next work site? Take these frameworks, learn them, and walk into that interview room knowing you are fully prepared to build a safer future. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and good luck out there.